Welcome. Operation Grow. Here we go, live, baby. So
Hey,
today,
everyone.
Peter, we got the full, not the full panel, but most everybody here today. Then somebody's probably got YouTube open. I hear myself talking. It's me. Of course I do that.
I think that's me.
Everybody's doing it.
I'm on it. I muted my shit.
Everybody mute yourself.
Well, now it's time for some dabs. Well, we kind of just walked down the line. What's everybody been up to this week? What are you smoking on first? Yeah, what have you been up to? Let's see. We'll start with, go down the line. Let's hear that. Stony Scarlet.
Oh, well, I guess what I'm smoking on is I've got some of my homegrown Tomahawk, which is a Gorilla Glue Star Dog cross, and I just made up a little bit of sugar wax, basically. So that's what I'm smoking on, and what I've been up to is harvest time, taking down a room.
That's always fun.
Yeah, except for when it's a lot of work.
Sticky and oh yeah.
Right on. Then
Can't never find any good help.
Right.
I was about to say, so a quick question then is, do you ever consider mechanical trim, or do you go with purely hand trimming?
All my stuff goes to concentrate, so I trim fan leaves off, and then it's on with the next thing.
Easy part.
Okay.
Go straight into the freezer.
Nice.
Right on. Rizo, Richard, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Doing well. Nice weather out here in Colorado. How about you?
Yeah, we got some good weather. Just smoking on some of this headband I got.
Nice. You got your seeds and everything?
Yes, I got the seeds, the minder, got it set up. Yeah, everything came in good.
Excellent.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Peter.
Hey.
What's happening over there in across the pond, man?
Across the pond. Well, the last week has been spent looking more into the whole data side of it and what we're doing here, having some interesting conversations with some other people that look like they want to get involved. In terms of actually doing this for chilies, not just for, the idea behind Operation Grow is that it isn't just for cannabis in this case, it's for anything that people want to play around and test. So we've got that coming up. And then sorry?
I was saying on top of greenhouse growing.
Yes.
Especially over in Europe, because I've seen some of those ginormous indoor vegetable garden and stuff that y'all have over there.
Yeah, that's really big. And so we're in talks with some LED suppliers in terms of getting lights provided and that, try and standardize everything down to just the growers will be different and the environment that they're growing in is down to them, but keeping everything exactly the same. So yeah, and doing the usual family stuff, running kids around. Well, one, the other one's out of home, so that's good. So yeah.
Groovy.
Thanks for everybody for joining in this evening.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody joined in too, man. Makes for a better show. Then I see Mystic Grower over there getting her dab in, girl. What's going on?
Get myself unmuted.
All right, what's going on in Cali? So I know you guys got fucking nice weather all the time.
Maybe not all the time. It was raining yesterday.
For what?
Oh, wow.
For an hour?
For a little while. I'm right here on the California Central Coast. I'm right here by the beach. I'm like 16 blocks from Pismo Beach. And let me tell you, the weather here is pretty bipolar. Some days it's nice and sunny, and the next it's cold and windy. It's just the cost of living right here by the coast, I guess.
Yeah, how cold?
I'm sorry?
And how cold are you calling cold?
Down to 15?
Oh
Man,
man.
that's cold when you live next to the beach. You expect sun.
Yeah, that was the catch of living in Durban, and then you live over in England for a while. You get acclimatized to the cold weather over here. You go back to Durban in the middle of their winter, and you're walking around in t-shirt and shorts, and everybody else is all bundled up and looking at you like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah,
Right?
15 to 17 degrees centigrade, and it's like, oh, this is really nice and warm.
Well, I've just been getting my, what I've been up to is I've been getting my grow room set back up. You know, I've only had my bedroom. I've had my mom's shelved for a while. I've been trying to save up money and try not to spend it because I grow indoor. And, you know, growing indoor, you know, the cost of growing indoor is a little bit more expensive than it growing outdoor. So I've been trying to save some pennies, but I decided to jump back in and grow again, starting with this Jamaican bobsled. I'm looking forward to that. I have not grown a hash plant before, so I'm really excited, especially since I'm a glob snob, and I really count on those trichomes.
That liquid gold, baby.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm smoking on the remainder of my last year's outdoor sauce.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question then, and maybe help answer it for other people who don't know. Sauce. Okay, explain. Considering in the UK where it's prohibition land and we wouldn't know anything about it, what is sauce?
Sauce is the concentrates. It's made with the, oh gosh. It's Jar Tech where they try to get the THC crystals, and it's processed the same way you do the BHO.
Okay, so do you extract all of the solvent out of that then?
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Then how does it stay? And so how does it stay saucy?
Most of that,
Lovely
most of the-
terpenes.
yeah, most of the super saucy stuff, from what I understand, it's going to be your fresh frozen. So it's fresh plant that's been blasted, and then it's pretty much been kept cold this entire time. And then I guess, and it sits in this jar, like the little jar she has, especially like the little diamonds and saucy stuff that gets like that. I'm told it'll sit in that jar for like a long ass time, and then like bubbles off or burps off all the stuff. I'm not exactly sure, but it's just high quality dabs. And it goes down the scale from like your diamonds, sauce, live resins, jellies, and then you get your bottom end feeders or your like waxes and your shatters.
And now when you were talking to what was his name, Rowdy Rousing, how do you think he was making those honeycombs?
So the honeycombs, I have no idea, man, because I was trying to get out of the fella, how does he make because his rosin comes out kind of like how I make my sift. My sift will come out like that. But I don't know, he's pressing flowers, and that's something I didn't think would make good rosin. But he's got it creamy.
You get really good rosin out of flour. It's about how you press it. But those honeycomb things, man, I was thinking he's like some kind of a mold or something.
Yeah, Stabby has a photo of one he mentioned on the show. You'd have to, I don't know what they're called though. You'd have to go back and catch it for sure. But what have you been up to, Mad Monkey?
I'll just fucking weathering out these storms. Had a tree blow down, power line go down on my street. They had the roads all blocked off. Cars were driving through the fucking roadblocks. It was kind of fun. Other than that,
Yeah, that
sitting
looked
here
intense.
smoking on some of that raspberry beret.
Hell yeah. Hit it, baby. All right, down the line. Johnny, be good, man. What's happening?
What's up, everybody? Hello, YouTube land. Been busy, man. Finally, we got a break in the weather here. Fucking New England sucks. It's been raining for, I think they said this weekend was the first week in 9 weeks we haven't had rain, so, and it's still cloudy. But just getting the room ready, prepped up, ready, buying some new shit. Just bought a new little veg light, well, clone light, I should say. New little LED strip. Drive them up, get everything ready. So we're not popping things today? Is that not the plan anymore?
I feel like yeah, I would wait because since the
Nobody
Canadian.
has them all, right?
Hmm.
Nobody has them all, right?
Correct. Not everybody. One person
So
still
you
lagging.
can't. That's kind of a Jew-bag move.
Well, it's international. It's Canadian. It's not domestic.
But who popped them? Somebody popped them.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, so who was it? Somebody did already.
Yeah,
Somebody
so
did as soon as they got him.
Yeah, not me.
Not one of us. One of us.
Somebody did.
Well,
Yeah,
definitely wasn't me, but whoever needs a head start, that's fine. You go ahead and get your head start.
Well, here's the thing. If you did pop them, that tells me a lot about your character. And
I did.
I would have to meet you in person before. I don't know.
I think somebody did. If you go look back.
I think they did it accidentally. Go, oh, was that not the plan? As soon as you get them to pop them, so
Yeah, somebody did pop him. I don't know who
I
it was.
thought so.
Well,
and that way you want to rat anybody out.
Well, it's gonna kind of come out of the bag eventually. They posted it on the chat. It's not sorry whoever it was. I dimed you out, I guess, but it wasn't gonna be a secret.
well, I hope they can keep up then.
We are popping today, right?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Are we popping him today?
No.
I mean, this is the debate. Are we going to say no? I mean, I am just aware of also keeping the the timeline. And in fact, I mean, if it's going to be another week, I mean, possibly, but
it shouldn't be another week. It should be there early.
should be there. Yeah, no, precisely. I would have expected to have arrived there already.
I haven't got my beans yet. Still waiting. Might be here today.
See, Mad Monkey hasn't got his. So I'm thinking by Wednesday next week, I would say everybody would have theirs.
All right, cool. Well, then we can get with everybody set up. Then, yeah. I mean, obviously, everybody can pop them at the same time during the week or whatever. That doesn't necessarily matter. What I think would be a good idea is that at the time as soon as you pop them, that's when you start the journal, so that you have that from the point you can have that as a date. Then we know when you actually pop them. You don't have to write the date down when the journal starts. That will be the date that
That's why we can pop them all together, and then we get on we can do a little call, or we don't have to go live or anything. We could even just do it just on our own or something. But during the week, whenever it's convenient, I can jump on a couple of times if I need to do multiple times with people, and then we can pop them and set up the minders together, and everybody kind of walk through their stuff.
Yeah, whatever's good with you.
I have a question. Is everybody going to germinate theirs differently? Like,
I was expecting
their own style, right?
I would expect everybody to.
I was gonna germinate.
I think that would be really cool.
I was gonna do mine a couple different ways too.
I do the paper towel, but I can do a couple different if we need to.
I was gonna do it straight in soil this time inside the Stone King's baby roots.
Yeah, just do the put it right in the fucking dirt method.
Yep. So we're gonna do this time.
That's what I did except for with cocoa.
Yeah, I was gonna paper towel a couple of mine, then throw a couple of mine in the rapid rooters.
Yeah, I've done the paper towel thing quite a few times, but I'm a lazy stoner. I forget about shit. Then you gotta come back and fucking get the goddamn roots untangled with the paper towel, and yeah.
That's why you gotta spread them out good enough. Prepare for that.
You just gotta be talented with your fold. I like the paper bag or the paper.
It's like the roots actually start weaving themselves in through the paper towel, and you gotta like rip the paper towel out around the root.
How do you fold your paper towel?
Just kind of like,
is it like
one time over? Yeah, just like one time over.
Just one time. That's it. Well, you should be able to pull that fucking root out of one.
Oh, I do. I just get in there really carefully with like.
No, if you go like fold it like this and then fold it again and like try to fold it again.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna break some fucking roots off for sure.
No, I just one fold, and it's just when it goes through that one time, I'm like, God damn it! And you gotta like rip it apart around it. And
you gotta be a surgeon.
Use shop towels.
And then the question is, do you do it flat or do you stand the towel up vertically when it's germinating?
I lay mine in between my mattresses. My bed.
Isn't that for peas? That's for peas and princesses, isn't it?
Yeah, Johnny just got a new nickname.
Oh
The
dear.
Prince and the Bean?
Well, that'd be good to take note then of the different techniques that everybody used for germinating and what the success rate was of that. So that would be definitely be good to do.
Now, how many
And
are
the
you
metric
guys gonna
resting
pop?
thing.
All of them, aren't we? I thought we were popping all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I'm doing all 10, see what we get, and sort them
I'm
out.
doing all 10.
I don't think more than 9 of mine will pop. I got one that's kind of got a little. You ever see those pumpkins that get real big and they grow with a flat side? I got one of them. So I'm not.
Flat side.
Yeah, big old flat
I
side.
think you're picky.
I'm just saying. We'll see.
Make a note of the pot that has the germinated flat side seed in it so that you never know. That might
That's gonna be the best plant.
It
Watch.
might be a beast.
It's a gnarly runt.
Who plans on doing sex tests on their plants? The farmer Freeman?
I
Sex
am.
tests? We
I
plan on
am.
doing it.
I'm not wasting my fucking time, my energy, my nutrients. Fuck that. It's $10 a plant.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about it from Green
10
James.
bucks.
So we're going to check that out this time. Save the time.
But one of the things where I've been promoting this is on the Growers Network forums. I don't know if you're aware of Growers Network, but somebody from there has been in contact about
You break it up, Peter.
We're losing you. I can't understand anything you're saying.
testing for cannabinoids after I mentioned this project.
You're better now.
Better?
Now it is.
On Growers Network, I don't know if you guys are aware of the platform Growers Network. It's like the LinkedIn for the
You did it again.
Yep, you're out. Breaking up choppy. That's all I got out of that.
Hey, I'm really sorry about my birds over here in the background when I jump on.
It sounds like you're in nature. That's all. Let's see. Peter.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay,
Loud
moved a
and
little bit-
clear.
Here you
moved a
know.
little bit, moved a bit closer to the network. I've been contacted by somebody from Growers Network, one of the companies on there. They do testing for cannabinoids. They found out, well, I posted about this project that we're doing, and they're interested in potentially, I need to speak to them further, but they're potentially interested in being a part of this where we could actually get the final products tested to see what the actual cannabinoid profiles were that everybody produced.
Hell yeah.
I will speak to them to find out if they do want to be involved. You know, it'll cost nobody anything. That's the idea. It's done for
That's
free, in my
badass.
opinion on this. So I will
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That testing
follow
ain't
up on
cheap.
that one. Yeah, they say they can quantify 14 top cannabinoids at the moment.
Now, is
So-
it just cannabinoids, or do they test for, chemicals and all that shit too?
I'd need to speak to them in more detail. This just came through about an hour before we started this call. So I've just got the message from them. I'm going to contact them tomorrow about it.
Gotcha.
And maybe this is where something like, I don't know how everybody feels about recharge. Maybe we could get Scotty to...
I just got my new bag today, actually.
I just got a pound myself last week, so I'm good.
I need to get some.
DGC.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys don't need, you just send my way. Then you can just send it all out to me. I don't have any yet.
And you can't get it here in the UK.
What's the reasoning? Do you know? Is there
I
like
think there's things in there that aren't allowed in that country or something like that, I think.
Oh, it's just the regulation on bringing in, a live micro product. There's extra regulations you have to adhere to. It's just going through all of that.
So it sounds like you need to get on making your own UK version of it. Bam.
Yeah, I mean, there are similar products out over here. But that one, you know, I seems to get a lot of very positive press, the recharge.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Underground, welcome.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Well,
You got a joint, man?
Yeah.
Showing off the topic.
it's that
Oh,
time.
we missed 420. How does that happen?
I
Oh,
just hit that
Jesus.
bell. We're 1 minute past. Dab time.
I'm a minute fast.
No,
No, just
we're
a
a
minute
minute off.
past.
We're a minute
Yeah.
off.
I can reset my clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a minute.
A clock stuck at 420 is at least right twice a day.
A clock that's stuck at 420 is right all the time.
But you guys were talking about having a couple of your plants tested for male, female. Like, I'm obviously not going to do that where I'm at and shit. But something like when you're trying to figure out what you have, do you just take a clone off what you have and then save those clones and flower out the main plant to figure it out? Because that's what I normally do, so I can figure it out as fast as possible. But I've also seen where some people take their clones and grow them out and then flower those, and they try to save the seedling as the mother.
I found the easiest thing is as soon as you could take a clone that's when you're going to top the plant, if you let it go just a little long, so it's just long enough to try to clone, but then clone it in your flower room under 12-12. Before it really starts getting roots, it'll start showing sex, and then you know.
I've also heard of just doing light dep on one branch, putting a blackout bag over just a branch, and doing that, you can trigger just that branch to flower, and you could sex it that way as well.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
I think
branch. Never heard that.
What would be interesting is you have a plant where you just rotate a branch through, you know, a dark, or a couple of branches through a dark cycle, bring them back out, re-veg them.
I don't know how I feel
rotating it around.
I feel like that's going to jack up my whole plant. I don't like that idea. I don't recommend
Yeah,
it.
I think that would
Yeah, it's a little weird.
something.
Yeah,
I
I
have
don't
heard of it though. I have heard of it.
How does it? I'm curious how it worked out for him.
Yeah, well, we'll find someone who can try it. I think the catch is trying to keep the temperature correct in that while you're doing it, but apparently it is a good way of doing it. The other thing is, you've heard stories about you can sex it by the shape of the seed, whether it's a flat bottom to it or whether it's a concave.
I've heard people
bottom to the
think
seed.
that I've heard of the flat Earth theory too, but I don't think there's anything to it. So.
No, that's
Hey,
true.
Tanasi, I got a question for you. What's that Jamaican bobsled cross with?
Jamaican Hash Plant times Space Dude.
Okay, all right.
He found the Jamaican Hash Plant out of like some 5-year-old bag seed that he got from Jamaica and crossed it with the Space Dude. Yeah. You got yours? You ready to go?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We're still waiting for 2 folks. You missed the talk a minute ago. We got 2 folks that haven't got theirs yet, so we're gonna wait and then I'll pop them together and set the minders up together. Probably next week, I would assume, when everybody gets them.
Well, you can set the minders up in the meantime. I mean, there's no harm in setting them up. I would say what we just do is at the point where you pop the seeds, that one's when you start the journal. So the minder can be running. You can be playing around, getting familiar. Not that there's that much to get familiar with.
Mine's up. I need to figure out how to like add a light and do all that shit. I feel like there's a lot more
that's
to
not
it.
That's what I meant the walk to the journal part, setting up the room.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
like. Yeah, that's what
So
I need to do. Because I have the basic setups, but I don't think I have it set up completely yet.
No. So with that link that I sent through in the chat, and I'll put it back into our group message after this with the site to go to that has the journal bit. But on my screen at the moment, this is the platform, the version of the platform we'll be using, which is the one that's going out hopefully at the next end of the week. The dials look a bit different. The layout is just slightly different to the other one. And your username and passwords all work fine between the two. So in here on this one, what you have when defining and setting up the grow space, you got to look at it as though you have a collection of grow rooms, lights, and containers where, you know, each grow space is unique. Each light, in fact, is unique, and each container is unique. So, you know, you can't have the same light in more than one room. You can't have the same actual physical, and I mean physical light. You can't have it in more than one room, and you can't have a physical container in more than one room. Plants, on the other hand, are a little different because you could have the same plant in multiple rooms. So, whereas for lights and containers, you need to add each individual one that you're going to be working with. With plants, you just need to say, I have plant A, and you can add plant A to every single container. So we can go through the steps here. The very first one is to add a grow space, which brings up the screen. And then here you can give it a name. We'll call it, in this case, I'm just going to call it tent. Whoops.
Johnny Sugar Shack.
10.3. And it is a tent. I'm going to say it's 3 cubic meters. Whoops. 3 cubic meters. And the time zone is important, although you also set the reminder to be in the time zone. We do need to know what time zone the room is in case there's anything being controlled, and we can link it to other bits and pieces later on for local weather if we wanted to. You may have noticed that we don't automatically switch for daylight savings, simply because if you have anything that's actually running and working on a light schedule, if you suddenly change that from 11 to 13 or 13, you know, you could adjust the actual hours being on and off for. So you just need to manually update it when it happens. So this is currently UK summertime. So now I've added a room or a grow space, but there's nothing in it, no lights. If I try to configure the room, I'll have a few options. Well, in fact, I don't actually have any lights that I can add. I don't have any containers that I can add. And there is a reminder, but that one's turned off, so I can't really add that one either. But in here, when I go into the room configuration, I could change the name if I made a mistake, or the type of room it was. If I upgrade the room, make it, maybe I'll go from a partially sealed to a sealed room, I can actually just change it in here, and I can keep that information. So with the room set up, the next steps are going to be adding light, for instance. So for every light that you have, just call this light 1, for instance, and I can say what type of light it is. I think that covers all bases. I don't think there's any type of light that's on there that's not on there. If there is, let me know and I'll get it added. And I can enter the power of the lights, for instance. And if you're going to be adding more, so if you've got 4 or 5 lights hanging in there, you can just hit add another, and it'll allow you just to keep going through. For this, I'm just going to have added the 1. Then the next bit is to add some containers. Now, if you're doing something like in an NFT tray, I'm going to call this pot 1. And it's a plastic pot. But I was saying, if it's an NFT tray, when it comes down to the container size, you can't just say, you know, the full volume of that NFT tray is the size of the container. And you can, chances are you're only going to have maybe 1 or 2, depending, I don't know, it depends on the size of the space that you're growing in. But you can add multiple plants to a single container as well. It's not just 1 plant per container. I'm going to say it's a 10 liter. And then you can pick the type of grow medium you're using. Again, if there's any grow medium on, that's not on here that should be on here, let me know and I'll get it added on. And again, you just need to add each pot. If you're going to do 10, 1 seed per pot, 1 plant per pot, then you need to add 10 pots in, each with a unique name, so you know which one is which. But here I'm just going to say I was done.
Number 3, number 4, number 5. Already.
Yeah, it tends to go that way. And then the last bit is adding the plants. So you can then have a list of, give it a name. So this would be Jamaican Bobsled in this case. You can say what type of plant it is. I think this would probably fit under the hybrid category. Whether it's a short day or an auto flower. And short day is what being triggered at 12 hours darkness is considered the short day flowering plant. So it actually covers, most plants fall into sort of 2 categories. They automatically flower regardless of whether or it's driven by a short day cycle. The most general category. And then I've got a number of days for flowering that you can enter here. And you can put the plant breeder in. And then once you add it, it'll appear in your list of available plants. That is actually a plant, tequila, oddly enough, a pepper. So once you've got all of your plants added and you've got a room, etc., I can go into the grow space setup. And now when I have a look at the space and go into the configuration for the room, I can see I've got a light that I can add to the room. I've got the pot that I could add as well. That's the mind. I will temporarily add that one. And all I do literally is I click on the light I want to add and just click add. Gives it a second or 2, and then it'll add it in. And the same goes to the adding the container. The one thing we haven't done though is add the plant to the container, and it doesn't really matter what order you do this bit in, but at some point, yeah, you just need to add the plants to the container, and that's done under the container setup.
So now what about
existing? Sorry?
My bad. What about like existing plants? Like when we need to add those into the whole mix as well, right?
Existing plants that you've already...
Because I have a separate veg and a flower room. Say, you know what I mean? Say I still have plants in my flower room when these are ready to go in. I need to accordingly put the plants and everything where they are, right?
Yes. So if you move the plants from, if you move the pots from your veg room into your flower room, I'll show that in a second. We'll get back to it after this bit.
My bad. So
what you would do here is, for instance, I've got my pot. I could go in and change it. So for instance, people saying if I'm going to go from, let's say 1 liter to 2 liter to 5 liter to 10 liter throughout the cycle, you can just come in here and just change as you're going along. You can change what size pot it's now in. You don't have to recreate a new 5 liter pot. You could just upgrade. Pot 1 is now actually a 5 liter pot. So you can track it that way, if that makes sense. And you could also change the grow medium. And then what I do is I select the plant that I want to add into it. And I just add that plant to the pot. And again, I can add multiple plants. So again, as I was saying, for an NFT tray where you're going to have a few, you can just keep adding them in. And now you'll see that's there. If I want to remove it, I select it and then say update, and it will remove the plant from the pot.
And like you were saying, going from your flower room to your bedroom, like if we're minding the unit in the bedroom first, we just move the sensors over with the plants, correct?
Yes. So when you move them from the bedroom into the flower room, if you don't have the flower room defined, or if it's exactly the same spec as, actually probably better to do it as the separate room because there will be different dynamics. You're going to have different lights and everything in that room. So if you create the 2 rooms, that's fine because you can move the minder from one room to the other, and you do that in the grow space setup. Once you've 2 rooms, that's fine because you can move them.
So I have a question really quick. Are we going to have an option? Is it only just liters? You don't have the American like gallons?
Not at the moment, but Google does it quite quickly. I'll look at adding in a gallons conversion. The catch is that
Or they use gallon.
the catch is there's British, there's imperial gallons and there's US gallons. They're different. So it's accounting for those.
I've gotten pretty good at converting though. If you use the same pots all the time.
Yeah, once you've set them up, again, it's they're good to go. So
Basic.
Johnny, to your question there. Now, let's say I was going the tent room here. Let's say this was my flower room, and the tent 3 is my veg room. When I'm moving the pots from one to the other, I go into configure the veg room now. I select the plastic pot the pot that I want to move. I update it. It'll remove it out of that room, and it'll become available in the list of available containers. So now when I go back into the grow space setup, into my flower room, in this configuration, I can now just add that pot into the flower room. And I could do the same for the minder. I can remove the minder from the veg room and just add it into the flower room once I've moved it across. So that's how to handle that when you get to that stage.
Gotcha. You're probably gonna have to show me again, but
yeah, that's fine.
Stupid stoner.
It's like anything else though.
Yeah.
With on a computer, it's just as soon as you click on it a few times, like okay, I know what all this shit does.
True.
You just gotta put your head in it for a bit, spend some time with it.
Yeah,
And
I
the reality-
never sit on this thing ever.
And the reality is, you're only really doing the room setup and all of that configuration, sort of once. It's not something you have to go and do over and over and over again. So it's just the initial.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. But it's like all of these things, if you want to, it's usually the setup, the initial configuration and setup that just takes a bit of time, and then it all just sits quietly in the background doing its thing. As nice as it would be that it could just automatically do it all, we're not quite there yet. And then once you have the room or grow space created, because you can only actually have journals for grow spaces. So once you've got that all set up, so again, you could create the grow space now, define everything, spend the next few days adding all the bits and pieces in. Any questions, fire away, get a hold of me or Tanasi or the rest of the group. And then at the point where you go and pop your seeds, so now we're going to start the journal, you click on the journals link at the top, select start new journal, you give it a name. You select which room it is that you're going to be doing this journal for. So again, you would journal the veg stage. For the people who are moving from one room to the other, you could actually do it as a very much distinct veg journal and a flower journal. You pick the one you want and you say, add the journal. And that's it. It's now recording all of the environment data for that room from this point as a start date of the beginning of this journal. So when we close it off, it'll just view the data from beginning to end of this specific journal.
And started. Now the adding entries.
Oh, yep. Hang on, did I catch it there?
Making them work over there.
Hang on, we moved the pot out of that, so let me go back in, because the activities are usually you're carrying them out at the pot level. So let me just quickly. Try and remove dead air. So what other podcasts do you guys recommend? Any that everybody enjoys listening to? I quite like the Adam Dunn show from time to time.
I watch the Dude Grows show. That's a good one. Like, what do I listen to? Like, this isn't a weed one really, but Joe Rogan's pretty fire. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
He's always got good podcasts. Like, I don't know. I usually listen to, I don't know. I mix it up, music and podcasts throughout the day. I listen to a lot of talk radio too. I'm a dork.
I've been listening to quite a bit of the Doug Stanhope for a while. That's been quite.
I don't know who that is.
That's a comedian feller.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's actually been on Joe Rogan a lot.
I don't listen to much comedy. None, actually.
I just like watching reruns of like Golden Girls.
I listen to sports radio. I am at work a lot.
Oh, cool. All right, so back to the journal. When you click on, hang on, let's get back. Sorry, 2 seconds. I got distracted by some chat there. So now I'm going to go and do some stuff, some activity in the grow space. You go in, you're going to add an entry in the journal. Each pot will appear that you have in that grow space, and then you can choose to, oh, I'm going to water it. If you don't want to fill in all the details, and ideally do fill in all the details, but if you just want to record the event that you watered it, or you fed it, or you pruned it at that point, and no other information needs to be recorded, or that you have time to record there and then, you can just click on the water button, for instance, and then just water it, and that will log just a water activity that's been done. However, if you want to add in additional information, you click on the water plus or the feed plus or the prune plus buttons. You then have the option of how much did you water it, what the EC was that you, of the water, pH, ppm, and any additional additives that you might have included in the watering. And the same goes for the feed. You have the same options. Or pruning, you can do it as just a general prune, or whether you topped it. If people would like additional options here, please let me know. Again, I can add those in.
What if we're like on a flood and drain tables where it's like flooding every 4 hours and it's like pretty much at a constant ppm, and all that?
Oh, that's cool. Then what we'll do is we'll record that as being, if you let me know what the schedule is, we can put it in. And I mean, this is great feedback to get, because I need to be able to add all of these in. I know Tanasi and I have discussed it, but it's just also getting the time to put all these functions in. But where you could just say, I have some regular timed events that occur at these times, and these are the standards that go with them, then it'll just automatically include that. You don't have to go and do it yourself in those cases.
Yeah, because that'd be like a pain in the ass to have to be like, oh, it's watering now.
No. But the advantage there is you know exactly when it's happening. But the other thing is, if you're now walking around your grow space and you see one plant maybe needs extra attention, and you do something specifically to just that one pot, that one container, and you realize, oh, that one needs a bit of extra watering, you can log that ad hoc event. Now, for the weight trimmed, I have been giving this some more thought, because this did come up, we're talking dry weight or wet weight. It would be interesting to put both in there.
I think all we need is dry weight.
Yeah, because you're not measuring the moisture content then. You're actually measuring biological material that's been produced.
Because pretty much with what we do, you can figure you're going to lose 2/3 your weight and half your size. I mean, that's how it always works out.
Well, I think particularly for this plant, nobody's going to be interested in, if you top your plant, what that, unless you're taking off some huge amount, it's kind of irrelevant. And I just try to pinch the top when there's really nothing there. I just nip that little bud, and there's not enough to weigh. But I think at the end, at harvest time, then it's a different story. How much of your plant is vegetative material versus flowers is going to be relevant.
And also, I think for people who do like heavy leaf stripping, actually drying out all those leaves and knowing how much you leaf stripped That's also part of that final yield to weight ratio because the plant did produce all of that extra biomass.
Yeah, but I constantly don't constantly leaf strip, but you know what I mean? I pluck a leaf here, pluck a leaf there. Like, do you expect me to dry out every leaf I pluck?
No. I mean, it's the option is there.
I'm not trying to be a smartass either. I'm really not.
No. I tell you, if you think of some facilities where when they go around and do it, they leaf strip and they're going to do a lot of weight that comes off. I mean, when we're doing here, we're only doing 10 plants. If you actually leaf stripped all 10 plants and then went, wow, okay, so that's the total weight of those 10. And you, rather than doing it occasionally, and I'm just saying, different people have different styles. Some people do it week 3, I strip everything off this plant till it's nearly naked.
Yeah.
If you then weighed that up, that would give you that, okay, I know how much came off at that point. When it's a significant amount, if you're just going around plucking the odd leaf off here and there, then no, understandably. Gotcha. But then you could just click, I just pruned it. If you just click prune, it just records that you took something off it. It's not recording how much or anything like that. It just notes that you did something. Because all of those physical interactions do have some impact, potentially. I mean, this is what we want to try and discover, I think, is how much of an impact do some of these actions actually have.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see, because I have never done leaf stripping. I've seen some people do here and talk about here lately, and it's just kind of an interesting thing to me, because I always think you want all your leaves there, to suck up as much energy as you can to put it back into the buds, but I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that if you leaf strip any vigorous plant in veg, in 5 to 7 days, you can't tell you've even been in there. It replaces every single one of those.
I'll strip the shit out of some veg plants, trimming back mothers and stuff, but I've seen when they're in a flower and they've got buds growing on them, they're we're just going to take all these big leaves off right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't do.
That kind of doesn't make sense to me.
No. But now, see, here's a different
harvest, but
well, here's a different thing. So so when I'm in flower, I'm not going to do anything more than if I see a plant getting ready to drop a fan leaf, I'll get it before it's in my flood and drain. Yep. So I'm not going to weigh that up. It was going to fall off all on its own. I'm not pulling it off prematurely. I like to let it soak those nutrients back in before I grab them. But I just also don't want them down in my filter. So, that's all the more defoliation that I'll do in flower, and I just don't think it's necessarily worth documenting.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at too with that.
True. I feel like it won't be for some people. Oh, sure. It depends on how nerdy you want to get. I know some people that do massive leaf strips on day 14 or 21, and then they'll probably.
Yeah, I think if it's part of your strategy for how you develop your plant, then I think it's totally worth, really following it and seeing, based on the amount of defoliation, what kind of results do you get. But if you don't really routinely do that, you don't have anything to test for. So let the guys that do it track it.
Yeah.
Day 21, I leaf strip here.
Right.
Yeah, I strip some in veg. I'll strip fan leaves to slow down certain spots and let others catch up, stuff like that. But once I flip to flower, like I said, unless it looks like it's about ready to drop that leaf, I'll leave it alone.
Do you leaf strip at the end of at harvest?
Yeah, harvest for me means chopping big branches, knocking off the fan leaves, and then cutting the what's that? Yeah, if it doesn't have trichomes on it, it goes in the garbage bag. Everything else goes in the freezer.
Somebody might want to weigh that at that point.
I could see just seeing, because if you're looking at doing extractions, whether it's water extractions, or if you're doing dry sift after you dry your plants out, or if you're doing solvent extractions, whatever your method is, I still think that keeping track of the amount of waste fan leaves at the end could be beneficial, because it'll let you hone in on phenos and strains that are really good for extractions, because the ratio of trichomes to plant material is high. So
Yeah. Data. How nerdy do you want to get?
Yeah.
well, when it comes to amount of trichomes, I'll get all kinds of nerdy.
Well, it is going to be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to see how this all pans out.
Is this a completed journal here that we're looking at?
No, this is an active one at the moment. We're doing some testing on a dry unit, and this is just logging the data from within the dry unit to see how it's going. But this is an example of what comes out in terms of the charting when you have the journals in the room set up. Now, the thing about having grow space charts that you can look at and say having journal charts that you can look at is the grow space might be there for 12 months, say 3 grows in those 12 months, and you'd have a journal for each one. You can look at how the grow space itself has behaved in terms of environment for the whole 12 months in a single view. But you can also just look at each individual growth cycle that you did in terms of the journals. You can just look at those ones as well. So yeah, this is this is just part of the bits and pieces that you guys will, the different styles of charts that we're running in the new platform. So the idea about getting recharge for everybody, if we can, I know there's some people already do. Do you think, Tanasi, what do you think? Then we can.
No. I'll still take some. Don't get it. Don't get it twisted.
That sounds good.
Fuck yeah. Can you really get Scotty on the show? That'd be badass. He'll plug the show too. On his show.
Yeah, I think this is something that they would be quite interested in.
I think so too. I think he would really be interested in it.
Well, just for fun, maybe one of us should draw straws for the person that doesn't get any, and then they can be the person that we compare against. But I call not it.
Yeah, no,
I'm calling not it either. But I'm not it for a number of reasons.
Not it.
I'm already committed. So I'll pop my beans in recharge.
You actually plan on, depending on the amount of females I get, throwing a few of them on the flood and drain tables and doing a few of them in my soil bags.
We already used recharge here.
I've been meaning to get it. I just haven't done it yet. But
It's actually really fairly priced, like for what they offer.
oh yeah, well, price wasn't a consideration. It's just
Right. But I'm just saying, like it's a decently priced product that everybody, if you're growing weed, you can afford this product.
Definitely.
Man, I don't know, dude. How much it costs to put Jordans on 5 kids?
Yeah, that's material shit. You ain't gotta put Jordans on them.
Oh, they don't wear Jordans. This is from a movie I saw. But I do have 5 of them.
Good
I
for
was
you.
just, I think I was watching Billions last night. The guy, we were 2 families, kids in private schools with good teeth. Of course, are making good money. Yeah. So yeah, and cheap having kids. All right, so I've got a task this week is to get hold of the guys from the testing lab who've reached out, see if we can get them involved on this, because that could be very interesting indeed. No, Tanasi, do you want to see what you can do with Scotty in terms of recharge?
Yeah,
What
he's
do you
your
think?
rosin buddy.
Yeah, I can speak with him and see what he's got going on and help us out here.
Hey, Peter, I kind of have a question for you.
Shoot.
So will there be any ability to turn the minder into a controller with some add-on, like some way to add a 4-plug outlet to a control a humidifier, dehumidifier, heater, and air conditioner?
Absolutely. We actually have a controller in production at the moment, well, in development at the moment in the final stages. It's just getting the last bit of certification taken care of. We've got new PCB boards that have just been designed for that we've started playing with. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll actually have that controller out in production.
And did you say that you wanted us to be alpha testers for you for those?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to ask next.
I thought that's what I heard, but I wanted to make sure.
So long as you fly us over to personally install it, sure. We'll be there.
It's that? You got to install it like that?
Of course, yeah. Each install we do personally.
He's
All
done.
right, come on over.
Yeah, I'm
Yo, I got a nice couch, bro.
That works for me. I've
My
surfed
dog
many a couch.
him there too, though, but he stinks.
No, yeah. In all seriousness, we will be looking for testers when we're ready.
Well, you got 10 right here. Sign these 10 people up.
But I say this group looks good.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
We've already got 8 units out there with early adopters. And so when it comes to controlling stuff, that's like a whole different ball game in terms of it's a little bit more risk involved. When you're just monitoring, you're just monitoring. You're not turning people's lights on and things like that. So it takes a little bit longer to get that product bedded in and us feeling confident with it. And we've been running it for 2 years. I run all my chilies like that. We've got a number of chili growers who are using them, and it controls lights, pumps, humidifiers, dehumidifiers, heaters, AC, pretty much anything you need it to do. And as you say, yes, the retail version, it will be a 4 and 8 socket version. Commercial is a different story altogether. That's where we sit down with a electrician at the commercial site, and we'll work with them in installing it into the distribution panel, for instance.
Also, another question. Are you working on an app for phones and iPhones in particular?
No, we're not, for the reason of because it's a website, you can access it from any device. You're not bound by what type of device it is. And you then have to maintain applications on different versions of operating systems, which becomes painful. If we want to roll out a new feature, we just roll it out to the website. Everybody gets it. We don't consume any of your phone's storage space or memory by having another app installed that you don't need to. And because it's all, it's an online Internet of Things system, if you had an app and no internet access, it does nothing for you. The app is your web browser. This is like that paradigm shift in terms of the web browser is just the GUI for an application, and the web page is the application.
And you get them website hits. That helps.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers those.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, I guess we're still waiting for 2 more folks to get their seats and stuff. Then I'll say that we will get together during the week when everybody gets them. I'm expecting everybody to get them before Wednesday or at Wednesday. If not, something's wrong, I think. But
yeah,
when we get together, then we'll probably just do a call. Whoever's around, then we can do another call later on if we need be.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds
I'm around all week, so I can easy jump on whenever.
Right on. Sounds good.
So Wednesday, what time? Same time as usual, or what?
Wednesday, we'll get in the chat and talk about it and see what's best for everybody and go from there. Maybe it's Thursday. Maybe we get on Thursday. I don't know.
Yeah. It may not be a live one. It may be. I mean, if it's live, it'll just be ad hoc. But otherwise, we can all just get together on a bigger hangout. Because then if we're going to have, if everybody does come on, then we're going to have more than 10 people. We'll call up the Google Meeting instance instead, so everybody can be in on that.
Yeah, we can record that and then
we'll
somehow post it. We'll get it post on IG or post it on YouTube somehow, so everybody can follow and see. All right, guys. Peace out.
All right, everybody.
Nice chatting to y'all.
Nice.
Yeah.
chatting.
Once again, thanks everybody.
See you guys next week. You guys have a blessed week.
And you?
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Peace out.